Let me tell you something. There's a special kind of madness in this world, and I had the misfortune of experiencing it firsthand. One minute, I'm chilling by my pool, cold beer in hand, thinking life's finally treating me right. The next minute, I've got four cops storming my backyard like I'm some fugitive off a damn FBI watch list. Guns drawn, screaming at me to hit the ground. And the best part? They think I don't belong in my own house. Yeah, you heard that right. But here's where it gets real fun. Because when their boss shows up, everything changes. These guys go from big bad wolves to scared little puppies real quick. And I'll tell you why. But first, let's rewind. If there's one thing about summer in this city, it's that the heat doesn't play. It's like stepping into a giant oven with no way out. The kind of heat that makes you rethink all your life choices, especially the ones that led you to paying property taxes in a place that turns into Satan's playground every July. But today, I wasn't about to let it get to me. I had the perfect setup: an ice-cold beer, some smooth jazz playing low, and the deep satisfaction of knowing I worked my ass off to afford this house. My house. The one I busted my back for, fought for, and paid for. So I'm stretched out by my pool, just soaking it all in when BAM! A loud, heavy thud rattles my front gate. At first, I think maybe it's the wind. But then, BAM! BAM! Louder this time, more aggressive, like someone's trying to kick the damn thing down. Now, I don't know about you, but when someone starts knocking on my property like they pay the mortgage, I tend to get curious. I sit up, beer still in hand, squinting toward the front, and that's when the whole thing goes straight to hell. The gate doesn't just open, it explodes inward like a damn SWAT raid. Four white cops storm in, moving like they're about to take down a cartel boss. One's got his gun up, another's already reaching for his cuffs, and the other two? They look like they've been waiting all week for an excuse to rough someone up. Hands up, get on the ground! For a second, I just blink at them. Like, seriously? Excuse me, what the hell is this? I say, still half convinced this is some kind of mistake, but these guys? They're dead serious. Don't move. Face down now. And just like that, I know exactly what's happening. You ever have one of those moments where everything slows down and you see all the bullshit lining up like a perfect storm? This was one of those moments. I wasn't being robbed. I wasn't in danger. I was just a black man in a nice neighborhood. All right. Somebody better start explaining real fast, I say, staying where I am but refusing to drop my arms. That's when one of them, a stocky guy with a buzz cut and a power complex, steps forward. We'll call him Officer Jackass. You're trespassing on private property. I actually laugh. Bro, this is my house. He doesn't flinch. Doesn't even hesitate. You got proof? I stare at him, deadpan. Yeah, it's inside, where normal people keep their paperwork. Now here's where things get interesting, because instead of using common sense and I don't know, letting me go inside and prove I live here, Officer Jackass decides that my lack of immediate documentation is proof of my guilt. He yanks out his cuffs. Turn around. I step back, hands still up. Hold up. You're seriously about to arrest me for existing in my own damn backyard? And just as I'm about to lose my patience, I hear her. The voice that makes my blood boil before I even see her face. I told you he didn't belong here? Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to Mrs. Henderson, my lovely neighbor, the kind of woman who clutches her pearls every time she sees a black man breathing within a 5-mile radius of her home. The kind who watches Fox News on full volume and still thinks the civil rights movement was a bad idea. She's standing at the edge of her yard, arms crossed, looking like she just won a prize. I called them, she announces proudly, chin up like she just did her civic duty. I saw him sneaking around and I knew something was wrong. I close my eyes for a second because if I don't, I might actually lose my damn mind. Lady, you've seen me live here for 3 years. No, I have not. Oh, for the love of... Ma'am, I cut my grass last weekend. You literally waved at me. She gasps like I just cursed her ancestors. I most certainly did not. I turn back to the cops. This is the kind of witness you're basing your arrest on? They don't answer, but their silence tells me everything. I sigh, shaking my head. You know what? Let's skip to the part where you put the cuffs on me and pretend like this isn't bullshit. And just as they're about to do exactly that, a new voice cuts through the chaos, a voice they weren't expecting. What the hell is going on here? The air changes. Even Officer Jackass, who was ready to drag me off, suddenly stiffens like a kid caught stealing from the cookie jar. I don't turn around just yet, but I can feel the shift, the unease. Because whoever just showed up, he's in charge. And judging by their reactions, he's not happy. And that, my friends, is where this story really takes off. Now let me tell you something. When you're a black man in America and a cop tells you to turn around, your brain goes into overdrive. Every horror story you've ever heard, every headline you've ever read, every accidental misunderstanding that ended with someone who looked like you in a hospital or worse, it all flashes through your head at once. So when Officer Jackass reaches for his cuffs, and I hear that new voice cut through the air like a damn knife, I don't move a muscle. What the hell is going on here? And just like that, the entire energy shifts. The other cops straighten up so fast you'd think their spines were yanked by invisible puppet strings. Officer Jackass? He goes from smug to stiff in half a second. Even my dear neighbor Mrs. Henderson stops looking like she just won the lottery and suddenly remembers she left the stove on. I finally turn around. And standing there, with a face like he just walked into a crime scene he did not approve of, is Captain Richardson. Now let's talk about Richardson for a second. This man, he's old school. The kind of cop who looks like he walks straight out of a 1980s detective movie. Slicked back gray hair, deep-set eyes, the permanent scowl of a man who's seen too much and is tired of everyone's nonsense. He's the type of guy who makes rookies nervous just by breathing in their direction. And right now, he looks like he wants to strangle someone. "Sir, we have a situation," Officer Jackass starts, but Richardson cuts him off before he can even finish the sentence. "The only situation I see is 4 of my officers about to make the biggest mistake of their damn lives." Oh, now this is getting good. Jackass stutters. Actually stutters. "Sir, we received a call about a trespasser." Richardson's eyes snap to me. And for a second, I swear I see something flicker across his face. Recognition? Shock? Something. But it's gone. In an instant. "Trespasser?" He repeats, slow and deliberate, like he can't believe what he just heard. "Yes, sir. This man was reported entering the property illegally and..." "Oh, so now we're just taking calls at face value, huh? No checking IDs, no confirming ownership, just busting in like a damn action movie?" Silence. The younger cop, the one who's been looking uncomfortable this whole time, shifts awkwardly, like he suddenly wishes he called in sick today. And me? Oh, I'm just enjoying the show. Because let's be real, this is a rare sight. Cops don't usually turn on their own, but Richardson, he's different. "Sir," Jackass tries again. "The caller stated..." "I don't give a damn what the caller stated," Richardson finally explodes. "Do you idiots even know who this man is?" And just like that, the temperature drops about 20 degrees. The other officers glance at each other, suddenly unsure. Mrs. Henderson looks like she just swallowed a lemon whole. Jackass finally mutters. "No, you don't, do you?" Richardson lets out a sharp breath, rubbing his temples like this is the worst day of his career. "Uncuff him, now." Jackass hesitates, and for a second I actually wonder if he's about to double down on the stupidity. But then he sees the way Richardson is looking at him, like a man debating whether it's worth ruining someone's career on the spot. And he moves, fast. The cuffs snap open. My wrists are free. And just like that, the power dynamic shifts. I roll my shoulders, rubbing my wrists slowly, taking my damn time. Let them feel the weight of this. Let them sit in the mess they just made. Richardson turns to me, and this time, when he looks me in the eye, there's no mistaking it. He knows exactly who I am, but he doesn't say it, not yet. Instead, he turns back to the cops. "You 4, listen up, real close." His voice is sharp, cutting through the thick, awkward tension. "You just walked into a man's private property with no proof, no warrant, and no cause other than a phone call from a woman who, quite frankly, sounds like she should be living in 1952. Mrs. Henderson makes a small noise of protest, but he shuts her down with just a look. "Do you have any idea how badly you just screwed up?" Jackass looks like he wants to melt into the concrete. "Sir, we..." "Save it. Get the hell off this property before I start writing suspension notices." And just like that, my uninvited guests start backing away. Mrs. Henderson, still fuming, crosses her arms. "Well, I don't see why I should apologize. I was just being cautious." I let out a slow, deliberate laugh. "Cautious? Ma'am, I've lived here for 3 years. You watched me build this damn deck." "Well, she splutters. "I shoveled your driveway last winter." I literally helped you fix your fence when your dumbass nephew ran into it with his truck. She opens her mouth, then closes it. Richardson sighs, like he's too tired for this nonsense. Mrs. Henderson, please go inside before you make this any worse for yourself. And that's how it ends. Her stomping back into her house, the cops scrambling away, and me, still standing by my damn pool wondering what the hell just happened. But here's the thing. As Richardson turns to leave, he pauses. Derek, I raise an eyebrow. You know this ain't over, right? His voice is low, cautious, like he's warning me. And for the first time in this whole mess, I feel it. That uneasy weight in my chest. Because he's right. This was just round one. And whatever's coming next, it's going to be a hell of a lot worse. Let me tell you something. There's nothing more unsettling than a cop looking you dead in the eye and saying, you know this ain't over, right? Especially when that cop is someone who clearly knows more than he's letting on. And Captain Richardson? Oh, he knew exactly who I was. I could see it in the way he looked at me. That slight hesitation. The shift in his posture, like he wasn't just dealing with some random homeowner who got caught up in a bullshit police response. Nah, he was dealing with a problem. And something told me that problem was way bigger than me just existing in my own damn backyard. But let's rewind a second. Because right after he said those words, the whole street felt like it went still. The air? Heavy. The silence? Deafening. Even Officer Jackass, who had spent the last 20 minutes acting like he was judge, jury, and executioner, suddenly looked like he'd rather be anywhere else. And me? I wasn't about to let this slide. Oh, so now you're giving me cryptic warnings, I said, folding my arms. You gonna tell me what the hell is going on, or should I just wait for round 2 of Cops Gone Wild to show up at my door? Richardson exhaled through his nose, slow and controlled, like he was debating just how much he could say. Look, Derek, he started, voice quieter now. I know this looks bad. I laughed. Loud. Hard. The kind of laugh that isn't really a laugh at all. Oh, it doesn't look bad, Captain. It is bad. It's real bad. And let me guess, you're about to tell me to just let it go, right? That this was all just a misunderstanding? No answer. Because we both knew the truth. This wasn't some random mistake. This wasn't just overly eager policing. This was a targeted hit. On me. I just didn't know why yet. And that? That made me real uncomfortable. Richardson took a step closer, lowering his voice. Listen, you need to be careful. Oh, now I needed to be careful? I took a slow step toward him, mirroring his energy. Careful of what exactly? I asked, keeping my voice steady. My own damn front yard? Richardson's jaw tightened. You don't get it. Then make me get it. For a second, I thought he might actually do it. I thought he might break character, drop the cop act, and tell me what the hell was really going on, but instead he just sighed and rubbed his temple like this whole thing was giving him a migraine. Just watch your back, Derek. And with that, he turned and walked away, just like that. Like this was a conversation we weren't ever going to have again. But the thing is, I don't let SAT go, especially when it smells like a setup. And this reeked. The second he was gone, I pulled my phone out, my fingers moving on autopilot. First things first, security cameras. Because let's be real, if a bunch of armed cops bust into your property and accuse you of breaking into your own house, you'd be a damn fool not to have proof. And lucky for me, I had receipts. My security system had caught everything. The footage showed them at the gate, looking like a bunch of kids about to pull a stupid prank. The way they didn't hesitate before forcing their way in. The way Mrs. Henderson stood there smirking like she just won a free cruise. But the part that really got me? The way they hesitated after the arrest. Like they were waiting for something, or someone. And then it clicked. This wasn't just about me being a black man in a nice neighborhood. No. This was personal. I just didn't know whose problem I was yet. And that made it even worse. I exhaled slowly, feeling that deep, burning anger settle in my gut. Because here's the thing. I wasn't just going to sit back and wait to find out. Oh no, I was about to find out real fast. And when I did, somebody was going to have a real bad day. You ever get that feeling in your gut? That deep, unsettling pull that tells you something isn't right. But you don't have all the pieces yet. That's exactly what I felt watching Captain Richardson walk away, leaving me standing there with nothing but questions and a burning sense of I'm about to find out the hard way. Because here's the thing. This wasn't just a random incident. This wasn't just a few racist cops screwing up. This was planned. And if there's one thing I know, I don't do well with being someone's target. So I did what any smart man would do. I dug in. I spent the next 6 hours combing through my security footage. Every second, every angle, watching the way those cops moved, watching how Mrs. Henderson stood there like she was watching a damn soap opera. And then I found it. I found something small, something easy to miss. But once I saw it, it changed everything. The moment right before they stormed my property, one of the officers, Officer Jackass himself, got a text. He read it, nodded, and that's when they made their move. Someone greenlit this. Someone told them to go in, no questions asked. And if that someone was high enough to be calling those shots, then I had a real problem. I knew exactly what I had to do next. So I made a call. And not just to anyone. When you've spent years navigating bullshit, you learn that sometimes the only way to fight fire is with a goddamn flamethrower. And my flamethrower was a woman named Valerie King. Now let me tell you about Valerie. She wasn't just a lawyer. She was a shark. The kind of woman who could smell blood in the water before the body even hit the ocean. And lucky for me, she owed me a favor. Derek, you do realize it's almost midnight, right? Her voice came through the speakerphone, tired but sharp. Oh, I know, but trust me, you're going to want to wake up for this one. I laid it all out. The break-in, the bogus arrest, the way Richardson reacted, the goddamn text message. By the time I finished, there was a long pause. Then, send me the footage. All of it. Now. And just like that, the game changed. Because when you have someone like Valerie on your side, you don't just play defense, you go for the throat. The next morning, things started moving fast. Valerie pulled every string, called in every favor, and by noon, that footage was everywhere. News stations, blogs, social media. The story blew up so fast it was like a damn wildfire. And that's when the panic started. Because let me tell you something. Cops don't like it when their dirty laundry gets aired out. Especially not when the whole world is watching. By 3 p.m., the police department released a statement. Some generic nonsense about reviewing protocol and ensuring community trust. By 5 p.m., 2 of the officers involved had been put on leave. And by 8 p.m., Captain Richardson was at my front door. I opened it, leaning against the frame like I had all the time in the world. Captain. He exhaled through his nose, eyes scanning me like he was looking for an opening. Derek, you made a hell of a mess today. I smirked. Nah, I just cleaned up the one y'all made. Silence. He hated this. This isn't going to end the way you think it is. I tilted my head. See, that's where you're wrong, because I already know how this ends. I leaned in just slightly, keeping my voice low. It ends with you telling me who the hell sent that text. His jaw clenched, because he knew. And now, so did I.